Hey guys, it's Edit Ebenezer again from Semani Enterprise Tutors, and today we're going to be learning how to copy or how to get data from the database and then store it in a RAM database in Android application using Android Studio. Alright, so this is a local host, the local server MySql. This is a table called profiles under the Steam database. Okay, so for you to get a database, you just using example one, you just come to localhost/phpMyAdmin, you come to new, and then from new you can create your database. You just input your database name, and then when you click on create, you can then create a table. Alright, so majorly what this application is going to do is going to get this data from all these data from this database and then store it in a RAM database, and then from there we can display it in a recycler view of each item. Okay, so in order for this to be possible, we need a PHP script that will fetch the data from this database and then pass it to our Android device when we make the call. So before going to the script, let me show you what we'll be expecting in our Android device. Now this is the page. Okay, so we'll be expecting something like this from the database, 4 JSON objects. So this is the script that makes that possible. The name of the script is getProfiles.php, and it's located, as you can see, it's located in the profile folder in my HTTP docs, in my XAMPP folder, of course. Now this is declaration of some variables like the database name, the database user, the password, the server name, and then this is a connection to the database. Alright, so MySql underscore connect with the server name, the user, and the variables declared above, and then this is an SQL statement to get all from the profiles table. Now this is the profiles table, this table. So when it gets all from that, then the result is being stored in this variable, and then this is an empty array being declared. So we push the details gotten from this result into this array using array push. Okay, so an array is declared, so we are going to be passing name, image, title, date of birth, place of birth, and discoveries, just as shown here. So the name, the image, title, date of birth, place of birth, and discoveries. And then finally here we'll do an echo statement, echo JSON underscore encode. Okay, so we pass this. This is what the Android device receive as a result, and then finally we close the connection. So let's jump over to Android Studio, and then since this is a local connection between my Android device and the local server, we'll be using my IP address. Okay, when you will be using retrofit to make the call, so this IP address should be noted. You can just get that by opening your command line and typing the command ipconfig if you're on the Windows, and then you can get this here. So mine is 192.168.8.102. Now that being said, I can close this too and move over to Android Studio. Alright, now I'm going to be showing you, so let's look at the dependencies that we used. First of all, we are using butter knife in order to make injection of the views easier. We are using Picasso for us to load the images, and then we are using retrofit to make the API calls to the server, which is my localhost server. Now I'm going to show you the main layout. So this is the main layout of the application. Now in order for you to get your own application running, when you open Android Studio, you come to file. Okay, then from file you can go to new, then from new you can go to new project, and then from there you can insert the name of your project, the name of your app, and then you can make other configurations as necessary. So I'll just wait for this to load up. Okay, so as I was saying, you come to file, come to new, alright, new project, Then you can put the application name, your domain name, click on next, click on from what OS you'd like to support from. You click on next, click on empty activity, you click on next, and then finally you can click on finish. Okay, now this is just the main layout is just a layout that has a recycler view in it with the visibility set to gone, and then a button where the user can click and then we can get the profiles. Now how this is supposed to work is, once the profiles is gotten from the MySql database, we are going to set the visibility of this to visible, and then we are going to set the visibility of this to one activity to do that. Okay, so once that is being done, and then remember the ID is necessary, so the ID of this is profiles underscore rec view, and then the ID of this is get profile. So this will be necessary when we want to make our butter knife injection. So I'll move you over to the main activity, the Java file. So now these are the from butter knives. Now to do that, all we did was you place your cursor on activity underscore main, and then come to butter knife injections, and then in your butter knife injection a dialog box will come up where you can select. So the only two things we need is we need a recycler view and then an on click for the get profiles. Okay, so once you click on confirm this code and this, okay, so these two will be generated for you. Now one other dependency I forgot is the rem. To use rem, you have to add this to your class part. Add this class part to your application Gradle file, and then in your project Gradle file, and then in your application Gradle file you just have to use this, say apply plugin rem android. Okay, so when you do that, you just refresh your Gradle. Now the first thing we want to do is we want to be able to make a call to the server once the user clicks the get profile. Alright, so in order for us to do that, we're going to be using retrofit, and then using retrofit you're going to be needing an API client and then a service. Alright, so those are defined here. Now let's look at the service. So the service is just a method that tells us that we're using post, and then it indicates the last part of the URL. So remember that the name of our file, our PHP script, was getprofiles.php. So this is the last part of the URL, and then we're going to be expecting, so this call indicates what kind of result we are expecting. So we're expecting a list of profile. Now this profile is just a model class, with just some string variables and then getters and setters of those string variables. And then in order for you to get your class, this class, you just place your mouse here, right click, come to new, and then you can come to Java class. Okay, so you enter the name of your Java class. This will be profiles if you have to follow along. Alright, and then you click on OK, then you put the string variables, and then in order for you to get your getters and setters, just alt insert, okay, getter and setter, and then you click on OK, and that will automatically insert it for you. Now the API service is expecting a list of profiles, and then the method we're going to be using to make this call is get profiles method. And the other thing I'll need to explain to you is the API client. Now the API client class file just defines a client that we would be using for our retrofit call. So an OKHTTP client is declared here with values like the connection timeout, which is set to 120 seconds, that's 2 minutes, the read timeout, the write timeout, the retry on connection failure, and then this last statement builds it. Okay, now we have a JSON object, set lenient, and then we create. Now finally, this get client method is the most important, because this builds the retrofit client and then sends it to the caller. And then this base URL, remember the base URL I showed you, 192.168.8.102/profile. all right, so this is necessary because it is going to be a local server, so my phone and my Android device and my server must be on the same network. all right, now that being said, I'll move back to the main activity.java file. So when the user clicks on the get profile button, this method called get profiles from server is being heated up. Okay, so this is an API service, and then we call the client method with the create method. We call the client method located in our API client file, class file. Okay, then we create it using our API service class. Then this variable called pro is what we'll be storing, or what we'll be using to get the details from the server. Okay, so it expects a list, a list of profiles, just as I showed you that we'll be getting 4 lists of profiles. So this profile variable is what we use here, and then we initialize it to service.getProfile. so this method. Okay, here, and then when you enqueue it, you get 2 methods, which will be our onResponse and onFailure. Now onResponse is being called when the call to the server is successful, and then the onFailure is being called when the call to the server is not successful. Now in order for us to use this, we have to declare a profile adapter, and then we also have to have a simple profile view XML, how the data in the recycler view will look. So we just created a new XML file called single_profile_view. So in order for you to create that, you place your mouse on your layout folder, right click, come to new layout resource. Okay, so you can name this. I named my single_profile view. Okay, now briefly explain that, what that contains. Now this just contains a relative layout, okay, as the parent view. Now this will be the image of each profile, the name, and then this will be their title. Okay, so in order for me to space this up a little bit, just give it a margin left of 5 dp. Okay, so that spaces up a little bit. Okay, so once the user clicks on any of these profiles, we're going to be loading the major profile, okay, in another activity. So once we get the call from the retrofit, once we get the reply from retrofit here, we're going to first store the data in a REM database, and then we're going to pass that REM database to our profile adapter, and then from there we can be able to handle the on-click event. We can be able to handle the display of the details of each of the profiles. Okay, so this is our profile adapter. Okay, it extends recycle view.adapter, and then profile adapter.profile view holder. Well, now what this means is that the profile view holder is in the same class as the profile adapter. Okay, now we have 3 variables here. We have a list of profile, an array list of profile, we have a context, and then we have a custom listener. Now this custom listener is going to help us to handle the on-click event of each of the rows. Okay, now we have a profile adapter and a constructor. Okay, so we'll just initialize the variables up here, and then the profile view holder is what we're going to be using to display. We're going to inflate this single profile view. Okay, so we display it here. So we're going to inflate it with this, and then the major thing here is the on-click listener. Okay, so we set an on-click listener using this custom click listener, which is this file here. So it is an interface that is just a public method, okay, that takes in a view and then the position of the recycler view item that is being clicked. So back here, so listener.onClick item sends in the view, and then the position, we get the adapter position of whichever of the recycle view item that is being clicked, and then we return an object of profile view holder. All right, now the unbind view holder method is used to bind the views. Okay, so we set the text, which is just the name. Okay, so we set the title, we set the name, and then we use Picasso to load up the profile picture. Now Picasso.withContext.load, so we get the URL of the image in the get method of the profile class, and then we resize it to 200 by 200, and then we insert this into the profile image. All right, and then this method returns how many the size of the array list. Okay, now this profile view holder is what we use to get references to the views that exist in our single profile view XML file. All right, so we get the profile title, the profile name, the profile image using butter knife. Okay, so we use butter knife injection for this, and then on setting all this, so we use this. So holder.profile title, so this is it. So we set the text of the profile, the title, the name, and then one other thing you need to note is that our constructor accepts 3 variables, so an array list, the context, and then the custom on click listener. And then the custom on click listener, we override the method in this custom click listener, which is on item click. All right, now that being said, we'll move back to the main activity.java file. So in using rem, you have to declare a rem variable. All right, and then you have to initialize rem. So rem.init passed with the context, which is our main activity.java context, and then you have to get a default instance. So in order to get that instance, the rem variable is equals to rem.getDefault instance. Okay, I'll just remove this for earlier testing. Okay, so here we have our profile layout manager. Okay, so this is our manager. Is a vertical layout manager, which means that this will display from top to bottom and not from right to left. Okay, so we get our rec view. This has been gotten. Okay, so this ties it down to our recycler view in our activity_main file with the ID profile_rec view, which I told you to note in the beginning of this video. And then we set the layout manager to profiles layout manager, which is a linear layout, a vertical linear layout manager. And then we say that the recycler view has fixed size. Okay, so we're expecting a fixed size. Now what we now do is on the response method of our retrofit call, if we check if the response code is equals to 200 and the response is successful. Okay, so we check that, and then the next thing we do is we save what we got from the response into this variable called row list item. Okay, now I forgot to mention something. Okay, now we're good. And then once we have it here, we'll then use this to get all the details we want and then store it in our rem database. Now in order for you to perform anything on rem database as regards to creating of data and updating, you have to begin a transaction. So we begin that transaction by calling rem.begin transaction, and then this is the most important part of this tutorial. Now in saving the details in our rem database, we have to create an object. So we're using a loop, a while loop. So while I is less than the response.body.size, which is this, okay, we're going to be creating an object every time throughout the loop. So until the loop is the same size, we're going to be creating an object. So this says that profile, so an object of profiles. Now you create the object using the profile class, and then we set the name. This will set it, so at the first iteration I is equals to 0, so this will set it to the first element gotten from the server, and then we set the details of a profile, and then we commit the transaction, and then we increase the value of I by 1. Alright, so once this loop is done, the next thing we want to be able to do is get the result. Okay, so we begin another transaction, and then we get a list of all the profiles. Okay, so we use the statement rem.where profiles.class.findAll. So this finds us all the objects of profile. Okay, so we now store it using the rem result object. We store it in this result variable. Okay, so we commit the transaction because we are done. Then we now have our profile adapter. Now this profile adapter is a type of recycler view adapter. Okay, so we now say recycler view adapter is equal to new profile adapter, which is this, which takes in 3 arguments. First, an array list, which is now a reference to our rem database, a context, which is our main activity context, and then it takes an onClick listener. Okay, so this is the override method, which it overrides from here, onClick listener. And then we'll now call a method called get details and send, okay, passing in our results and then the position whenever the user clicks any of the rows. And then lastly, we now have the profile view.set visibility. So we now set the visibility of our recycler view to visible, and then we make the button invisible. And then lastly, we now set the adapter. We set the recycler view to use this adapter. Now when the user clicks on any row of our recycler view, we call this method. Now this method just sends the details we got or the details of a particular row, and then sends it to a new activity called details activity. Now this details activity is just to display more details of the user or more details of the profile. Okay, so this is just going to have the image, the name, the title, the date of birth, where the user was given birth to, so the date of birth, the place of birth, and then a note like so, just something like this. Okay, and then the IDs are necessary, so image, profile image, main, name. So once we get that, we use button knife to inject our view. So alt insert, like earlier shown, come to create button knife, and then we'll be needing majorly the image view, the text view, the text view, date of birth, text view, place of birth, text view discoveries. And then once you have selected all that, you just click on confirm, and then these injections will be written for you by button knife. So once the onCreate method is called, we just call this method set profile details, and then we use a get intent, and then we get the values passed from the main activity.java, passed in an extra using key value pairs. So this is the key, and then this is the value, so key value pairs. All right, so the key for the name is name, and then we pass in, we get the name based on the position of which the user clicked. Okay, so getting all that, we now pass set text. So we get this name, we get it using the key of name, the title, get using title, the date of birth using the DOB key, POB key as sent from this. And then once that is being done, so we have been able to get the details from the MySql server, store it in our rem database, pass a reference of our rem into our profile adapter, and then once the user clicks on any of the rows, we are able to send it to this next details activity. If you are wondering how we got the details activity, you can just come under your Java folder, right click, new activity, come to basic activity, include the name of your activity. For your hierarchical parent, which means that to what will this up button link to, you can just come to this 3 dots here and then search, select main activity, you click on finish, and then that will be created for you. So guys, we've come to the end of our tutorial. The next thing you want to do is to run your application. So you can use either your Android device or a virtual device. I'm going to be using my Android device, so my Journey A1 Lite, and then I'm going to click OK. So guys, the next screen you're going to be seeing is my Android device screen for application execution. Thank you guys for watching.